How do you do? My name is Lane Raspberry. I develop biographical profiles in Wikipedia and Wikidata. I'm going to be talking about the application of demographic data, what it is and why it matters. Demographic data is the information that a statistician or researcher would use to analyze groups or cohorts of people within a population. Some information which scientists would often collect for demographics include gender, age or generational cohort, country of origin, languages spoken, perhaps race, perhaps ethnicity, perhaps religion, perhaps LGBT status, whatever social characteristics that a researcher might want to examine, those are demographics. In Wikipedia, we've routinely been applying demographic data to biographical articles since the beginning. So in a Wikipedia article, it might give the information that a person's a woman or that they're from a certain country. People like this information. They expect it to be part of the biography. When we start applying this kind of information at scale to lots of biographies in Wikipedia and even going beyond Wikipedia into Wikidata for biographical profiles of people, which are just structured data, we encounter new ethical challenges. There's also a lot of opportunity for society in doing this. I'm going to share a couple of brief stories about somebody who liked this and somebody who doesn't like this kind of thing. Both of these happened in 2013. There were two news articles came out. The Washington Post in 2013, they interviewed a boy scientist named Jack Andraka. He had used Wikipedia and other sources to do some scientific research, and he found an amazing outcome. He won scientific awards for it. And in the course of this, he participated in interviews where people asked him how he worked and what he was doing with his science. One of the things that he said in his interviews, and he said in this Washington Post article, was that he wanted to know more about role models. He was a gay boy scientist, and he wanted to find a list of other gay scientists, and in 2013, he was unable to do this. It's 2021 right now. In Wikipedia, we have projects which profile gay scientists among other demographic applications to people in the sciences. And this is an incomplete list. It's a rather small list. It happens to be the largest list in the world, but it's not complete, and we're not yet done addressing this challenge. It's hard to find the lists of people who identify as LGBT and who also identify as scientists. We have different places that we can get these kind of lists, like there's awards for LGBT scientists, there's conferences for this minority, and there's conferences and awards and showcases for people of all kinds of minority groups that are trying to uplift the population and profile what they can do. Also in 2013, the New York Times published an article. It was by a writer named Amanda Filipacchi, and this article was called Wikipedia's Sexism Towards Female Novelists. In this article, and you should read it, this person speaks for themselves, but they were complaining that Wikipedia had a category for women novelists, and Wikipedia did not also have a category for male novelists. It just had a category for novelists. And the idea is that females are a minority, they're an other, they need to be in their own category. And if you're talking about novelists, there's two kinds. There's the novelist and then there's the female novelist. And this is unfair. Well, that wasn't the intent of Wikipedia. There's a proper way to manage data, and there's less proper ways to do it. The reason why this particular category existed in Wikipedia was because there was an activist organization, it still is, trying to build out the biographies of women who are underrepresented in many fields. And if you have a category or a list of women whose biographies could use some work, then you can showcase these off. People can be inspired by them, and also people who want to volunteer to build these things out and make them better, they can do that. It needs to be easy to find what you're looking for. Now, when we have all this in Wikidata, we don't need to put arbitrary human written categories in Wikipedia. So some human said that there should be a category for female novelists, and that was to make it easier for people to find. But technology is improving, and we have this structured data complement to Wikipedia. It's called Wikidata. Within Wikidata, we take parts of Wikipedia and we take other data sets. We put them into a database. People can ask whatever questions they want. It doesn't have to be a human-written category. You can ask for things that no humans ever put together. So, for example, you could say, show me all the female novelists in a certain country. Or you can be even more, as specific as you like for any demographic label. Female novelists who practice a religion and they're on one side of the world or another. Whatever you can imagine. Or you could ask for, show me all the people at a university and just give me the demographic profile of the entire university. This is a thing that people do. Now, within Wikidata, there's editor volunteer communities, just like there are in Wikipedia. These people are managing data sets. One of the biggest projects in Wikidata, perhaps the biggest project in Wikidata, is something called WikiCite. WikiCite is an effort to create biographical profiles and bibliographic profiles of academic researchers. So you get the list of all scientists in the world. You put that list into Wikidata, and you match every scientist with every research publication they've ever published. Their academic articles, the outcome of whatever they're doing at the university or research institute, so that for any given person, you have their bibliography, their bibliographic profile, everything that person's ever written. In science, it's easy to do this because the scientific data sets are more open than in many other places. We can import this right into Wikipedia. Also, Wikipedia and Wikidata, we're concerned with accuracy, fact-checking, quality control. So we especially want high-quality scientific articles because this is the source of a lot of knowledge. And if we bring these quality, peer-reviewed publications into the wiki ecosystem, then we have better quality encyclopedia, better quality general reference information. But after we've got all these lists of scientists in Wikidata, we could be applying demographic data to as many of these people as possible, some groups of these people, as we like. And if we do this, then what kind of social and ethical issues come up? It could happen that we surface that some demographic of people have access to resource that other people don't have, or we could surface that some demographics of people engage in activities that other people don't engage in. Like, is it the case that there's fields of medicine where only people of a certain race or a certain generation participate or have outsized influence? Can we profile fields of study? Can we profile regions by what they study? Can we profile communities by what their opportunities are historically have been for getting access to funding or resources? This is all possible. In the near future, some of us are thinking about doing a small pilot project. We're going to be looking at software and thinking about applying some demographic labels just to this cohort of academic researchers who use academic software. Some of the things that we might be able to see here is what are the networks of researchers who collaborate together? Can we demographically profile them? Can we connect these data sets to publications to find out who's using, not just creating the software, but who's also using it and talks about using it in the papers that they publish? Can we tie this to yet other databases? I don't know, funding databases, grants databases, get more insights that compare people to the papers, to the software, to access to resources, to demographics. This is all going to be possible. Now, a lot of social and ethical issues can arise, and there's multiple layers to this. So there's Wikipedia, the encyclopedia, there's Wikidata, the general data collection, WikiCite, which is the subset of Wikidata, which focuses on scholarly profiling. And then I'm a developer for a tool which creates data visualizations of WikiCite. It's called Scholia. And within Scholia, something that we've already been doing routinely is for a given university, give us the list of researchers at that university and count how many papers have been published on particular topics at that university so that you can get some idea of what's being published at that university. We're already putting gender in our Scholia profiles for universities. So for a given university, to the extent that we have the data, sometimes we have it, sometimes we don't, we can see what's the gender breakdown of people at that university. We could experiment with putting more demographic data there. The conversation's not over about gender either. There's different ways in which we could do this. Now, of all the social and ethical issues that can arise in doing this, we in the Wikipedia community are listing some of them. Some researchers who are involved in Wikidata, WikiCite, and Scholia, we're listing some others. But perhaps you have your own thoughts and your own ideas. If you do, talk about them with your friends and colleagues. You can post them in the comments with this video, you can come to Wikipedia and talk about it with the Wiki community. Go to any community forum in Wikipedia, say hello to whoever you find there, and then start the conversation. They'll refer you to an appropriate place to have the conversation. I'd appreciate any thoughts that anyone has about demographic profiling in Wikipedia, Wikidata, or the broader world. Thanks for hearing me out. Take care. See you on the Wiki.